Hello everyone and welcome back to PPL VGC Season 1. This time we are in Week 5 against Travesty and his Canberra Toucannons. And this is a big week. This is the final week of the regular season and I'm sitting at a 4-0 record. I'd love to make that 5-0 for an undefeated season, but that is going to be a tough ask here. My opponent is at a 3-1 record and he is a very strong coach. We've actually played a few times and he's definitely beat me more times than I've beat him. But let's just get into the matchup. Trev has a really strong team, starting with Mega Floette. This was the #1 overall pick, for good reason. It's just incredibly strong with Fairy Aura boosted Moonblast and Dazzling Gleams. Luckily, I do actually have a pretty good matchup into it, with multiple good ways to resist Fairy and hit it super effectively, but this thing can just power through resists, so I will have to be careful. Then Volcarona can be an annoying support piece with Tailwind, Rage Powder, or just very strong spread Heat Waves if that's how it wants to go. Dragapult outspeeds everything on my team, and notably applies a lot of pressure on Mega Delphox, which otherwise looks kind of nice here. Gallade has been putting in a ton of work for him this season, and it has super effective coverage for just about everything on my team, and Raichu provides fast Electric Web and Fake Out support. Gyarados is the first mon where I'm not really sure if it can come, mostly because Intimidate can backfire into my Defiant Kingambit, but my team really doesn't have that much in the way of rock and electric coverage, so this could be a very annoying, bulky attacker for me to deal with. Then his second Mega is Mega Excadrill. Lucky for me, Delphox has a pretty great matchup there, since even a non-Mega Excadrill will be forced to hold the Mega Stone, so no Mold Breaker Choice Scarf or Akaberry, just a mon that will always be slower than Delphox with a weakness to Heat Wave. It can still definitely show up and be a threat under Tailwind, but the item locked Mega is at least easier to deal with than a regular Excadrill. Kangaskhan is actually a huge threat for me in this matchup, since it offers Scrappy Fake Out to ruin Basculegion's day, as well as a strong Sucker Punch for Delphox and a generally good utility move pool. The rest of the team is more niche here. Zoroark can cause some major mind games while hitting me with solid coverage. Appleton can be a bulky fire resist that's hard for Delphox to break through, and Aurorus I'm sure does something, but I don't think these three low tiers are super likely to show. So it is honestly looking like a pretty tough matchup. I like the matchup specifically into Mega Floette, which is kind of the focal point of that team, but it's the rest of those Pokemon that are going to cause some major issues for me. Case in point, my Mega this week is going to be Mega Delphox, which does look really solid. It has a great matchup into that Mega Floette. We're running a 3 attacks protect set with enough speed to outrun Timid Raichu. Heat Wave and Psyshock apply pressure on every single one of my opponent's Pokemon, and Dazzling Gleam provides that super effective spread damage into Dragapult and Gallade, which is a pairing that Trav has favored in previous weeks. This is very threatening to his team, but Delphox is very scared of Scarf Gallade, priority from Kangaskhan, and just Dragapult, even if I can take a Shadow Ball if necessary. I'm just hoping that the offensive pressure from Delphox will draw attention to it with all those offensive threats from my opponent's side, and that'll give my other slot a little more breathing room. Now, I think this is a better role for a Mega in this matchup compared to Venusaur, which can also tank hits from Floette, and it tanks hits from a lot of that team, but it has a hard time actually doing damage to Volcarona and Dragapult while also getting completely murked by Gallade, which I'm pretty sure he's going to be bringing specifically for Mega Venusaur. So, with Delphox taking a major role in this matchup, I've already mentioned its issues, the most obvious one being Dragapult, so I have Kingambit to help deal with it. The main purpose of this set is, of course, Sucker Punch, which helps keeps Dragapult in check so that Delphox can click its amazing buttons. Iron Head is also very important for threatening the Mega Floette, and Rock Tomb is my coverage move of choice. It, of course, deals with Volcarona, but it also capitalizes on the Gyarados matchup by giving me a super effective move for it after Intimidate gives me that Defiant boost. Then we have Choppleberry as the item along with a healthy amount of defense investment. This allows Kingambit to avoid the one-hit KO from Jolly Gallade Sacred Sword. We're also running a bit of Spadef to be able to take a Timid Flamethrower from Volcarona. The game plan with this guy is to play him aggressively into the good matchups like Dragapult and Gyarados, but we have the defensive investment to hold our own in matchups that are much worse for Kingambit on paper. Should be a pretty self-sufficient offensive support piece as long as I can play it carefully. Next up is Choice Scarf Basculegion. This is another way to keep Dragapult in check, since Basculegion is just barely able to outspeed it with that Scarf. Adaptability Wave Crash and Last Respects threaten huge damage onto just about everything except very bulky Gyarados and very bulky Appleton, and Flip Turn gives me some flexibility to both get some damage and pivot out. Icy Wind in the last slot is mostly filler. I don't plan on clicking it, but spread speed control is always nice to have. There's not too much else to say about this set. I think it works well as an offensive pairing with Delphox, and it's a very threatening lead, but it is also very threatened by a lot of my opponent's Pokemon. And that's even worse if we're pressured by Fake Out, so if I smell a scrappy Kangaskhan lead coming, we'll have to keep Basculegion tucked in the back. If that does happen, my lead is going to be Weavile, which has the fastest Fake Out in the matchup, denying opposing Fake Outs, and it's also a massively threatening offensive piece. Knockoff and Triple Axle do huge damage to just about anything, except for, once again, bulky Gyarados, and Ice Shard applies extra pressure onto specifically Dragapult. We have no speed for Raichu, and a Focus Sash to keep Weavile alive for an extra turn. So I would say those 4 here make up the core team I'm planning on bringing, with offensive pressure from Delphox and 3 teammates that try to support it in different ways. The last 2 slots then are more niche, meant for specific situations if the main 4 fail in their roles. First up is this Klefki, which is physically defensive Calm Mind. So sweeping Klefki feels kind of weird, but I can see situations where it could actually make a ton of progress into my opponent's team. The main scenario I envision is an endgame against some combination of Floette, Dragapult, Kangaskhan with no ground coverage, and Gallade, all of which have trouble hitting Klefki all that hard while I boost up and outpace their damage with Draining Kiss healing. This is, of course, still a niche pick for the matchup, and that's because of Volcarona, which I expect my opponent to be relying on. That thing completely walls and destroys Klefki, so I have to make sure I can take care of it before attempting a sweep. Excadrill is definitely a problem as well, just not one I'm expecting quite as much to show up, and it's not like Klefki can just solo their team even with those threats out of the way. Its stats are just not quite good enough to get up, boosted up while potentially getting double targeted. But with these major threats out of the way and offensive pressure from its teammates, Klefki has the potential for a lot of damage output and sustain. Finally, in the last slot, we have Gliscor, which is mostly here to shore up the Excadrill matchup. One thing I noticed, like I kind of said, is that Moldbreaker Excadrill actually has a field day with Tailwind up, so this Gliscor is here to both tank its hits and set up a Tailwind of its own. We have the physical bulk to avoid a 2-hit KO from even Mega Excadrill's Iron Head, and we also avoid the 1-hit KO from Jolly Gallade's Triple Axle, thanks to a Citrus Berry that will always proc after the second hit. Stab High Horsepower threatens Excadrill, and Rock Slide, along with some SpDef investment, gives Gliscor a much better matchup into Volcarona, which is the opposing Tailwind center. So if I need my own Tailwind or an extra ground immunity, that is what Gliscor is here for. That is going to do it for the team though. Let's see how it does in the battle. Testing. Okay, looks like my mic's working. Cool. We are in against Trav, and we see a team of Gallade, Volcarona, Zoroark, Floette, Dragapult, and Kangaskhan. So, a couple things I was worried about that did not show up. No Raichu, no Gyarados. Okay, so because there's no Gyarados, I think Weavile is pretty reasonable as a lead. So Delphox Weavile, because there is some fake out pressure coming out from my opponent there. I'll want Basculegion in the back for sure. And I think the question is probably Gliscor or King Gambit. And Gliscor is more to check Excadrill for the most part. It helps with Tailwind stuff, but I think I'm just going to start with like the core 4 that I built here. So yeah, Delphox, Weavile lead. I like that. Let's give it a shot. Good luck, have fun to Trav. Final week of the season, guys. Let's see what happens. All right, so we get Kangaskhan, Volcarona. I actually did not think that these two would lead together. So it makes me think the Volcarona might be offensive and less of a support set. We're going to Mega. I'm thinking about going for a Heat Wave here, big Heat Wave. Could do pretty well here. And then, oh, I'm Mega, right? I always have to double check that. But yeah, big Heat Wave from Delphox, and we are just going to go for a Fake Out into the Kangaskhan slot. Max HP Kangaskhan should be taken about half from a Heat Wave. Okay, it was Fake Out on Kangaskhan. That was what was coming out for sure. Okay. Yeah, and a Tailwind from the Volcarona. That makes sense. How much is Weavile Ice Shard doing for the Kangaskhan? Not enough. Take it out. I will say that. I could protect Delphox. I'm not sure what the Kangaskhan even could do. I could switch Delphox out, although it's what, Bastion Legion? I think I'm fine going for another Heat Wave here, and then I'll go for the... Maybe I do protect Delphox. I'm worried about like a Sucker Punch or something, maybe. And I'll knock into the Kangaskhan. See what happens. There's a double edge into my slot. Okay. What's the Volcarona doing? Heat Wave. That does make sense. It doesn't take me to Sash, actually. Does that tell us anything? We do take out the Kangaskhan. Alright. It was Silk Scarf. Okay, so they were going for it into that Delphox. Okay. Heat Wave. It should be a roll on offensive Volcarona to kill Weavile, so good to know. Gallade, okay. I think I go with a Heat Wave here. And Ice Shard might actually allow... Do I go with Heat Wave on Delphox, or do I protect it by going out to like King Gambit? We'll just go for the Heat Wave. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I'm willing to bet that this will not end up great for me, but we'll see. Just Ice Shard into the Volcarona in case I'm allowed to live. Do we see a Citrus? No Citrus. It does Giga Drain though, so it gets some recovery. So Volcarona KOs Weavile. Does Gallade have what it takes to finish off Delphox? Aqua Cutter. Okay. Yeah. Alright. So we have our last two here. Yeah, I expected the coverage to be Shadow Claw, I guess, but same difference, right? So, I think what I'm going to do is Rock Tomb into the Volcarona. How many turns of Tailwind are left, actually? Oh, here's Tailwind. One turn left? Oh, okay. They can just go for Fighting Move plus Heat Wave, and that would be a pretty big problem. It does leave Bastion Legion alive, which is notable. Sucker Punch probably KOs the Volcarona, and I could Last Respect into the Gallade. I'm not sure what to do here. It's kind of tough. Sucker Punch barely lives. Okay. They Giga Drain this guy. Okay. And they double into it. Okay. That's unfortunate. Okay. Got it. Why don't I not reveal anything big here? Let's just go for another Sucker Punch into that thing. Okay, yeah. Just let Gallade take me out. Yeah. Alright, rough start. Rough start. This will actually tell me if Gallade's adamant. Okay, probably Jolly. Alright, so we're just gonna go for a Sucker Punch in this slot. I don't really care. This game's lost. They're probably not going to attack with their Volcarona just because they want to save diff, which is fair. So I'm just going to hit the Gallade. We can see it Justified if it comes up. No. Okay. Alright. Yeah. Tough turns, for sure. And unfortunately, I didn't even see the last slot on what they brought. But let's take a look at what we can do with name 2. Continue. Gallagher KOs Gambit and the Ruppy state. Okay. What to do? I think Weavile still needs to be here for Fake Out. And then Basky Legion can start with it. We do have to keep that Zoroark in mind. Alternatively, I could do a Tailwind of my own with Gliscor here. I actually don't hate that. But who of these 3 are we cutting is the question. Kind of need Delphox and one of these 2. You know, I'm betting Dragapult was the last one that came last time. Klefki, I don't know if it's ever worth bringing exactly. So maybe it is Basky Legion and back. I don't mind this, I guess. Do I have enough for the blow it, though, is the question. Without Kingambit, that's tough, but I guess I'm going for it. Yeah, the idea here is we're kind of fighting Tailwind with Tailwind. Same leads from them. Okay. Alright, so Volk and Kangaskhan lead. Okay, so... I'm tempted to fake out the Volcarona, actually. Risks a burn. Just go for Tailwind on my end of things. I think that's fine. So we'll just match their Tailwind with ours. I assume this kind of plays out the same. We'll see, though. Yeah, this Kangaskhan is why I can't lead with Basket Legion, unfortunately. Heatwave misses something. Misses the Weavile. That's not bad. No burn? Okay. So that's a bit of luck for us, for sure. Okay, so let's look at Weavile versus Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan. If my Fake Out did about 15, yeah. Triple Axle, not doing enough to KO, but with Rock Slide it probably will. So let's hit a whole bunch of 90% accurate moves, right? When they just missed one, because that's fair. Okay, fine. Any flinches, maybe? Okay. And it's a Heat Wave, I assume, that's coming. Oh, I stole your Silk Scarf. Cool. Alright, so they'll see Gliscor's Citrus Berry now. Ripping up his Weavile. Unfortunate on the miss, but also... Well... No, I don't like that trade of misses. I think I'm gonna go with Delphox here, probably. we can Mega Psyshock. Gliscor is doing it over half with the Rock Slide to Volcarona, so I think played right, this could be a double down. I do worry about Sucker Punch, but I'm not sure if there's much I can do about that here. I kind of have to hit into that Kangaskhan. Okay, no switches out, I don't think, then. See what happens. Okay. The Volcarona goes for Protect. Yeah, Sucker Punch is kind of what I thought would happen. That does a lot. Yikes. Okay. Ah, you have dodged the Rock Slide too. That's pretty darn unfortunate. I think I'm just going to go for Protect on Delphox, and this feels like a good time to Rock Slide again. Gliscor. I didn't check how much the Gliscor Rock Slide did last time. It looks like it's a roll, actually. That's unfortunate. They switch out of the Kangaskhan, probably anticipating my Protect. Okay, so good play on their part. We do hit the Volcarona, so we take it out. Good. And it's Gallade. Man, it would have been nice to hit that Gallade. Tailwind's gone, but Delphox should still have the speed advantage. I assume Dragapult might be coming out, though. No. Okay, it's the Kangaskhan. Alright. Sure. Aqua Cutter on the Gallade's tough, too. I think I might need to... what do I do to preserve here? I might go Vascular Legion here, and then Gliscor... maybe Protect? Man, I wish this Kangaskhan was gone. I missed so many moves into it. Let's just go for our Tailwind, I guess. I assume Gliscor's gonna go down, but I don't think I mind that too much. Vascular Legion is also at a lot of risk here, I'll admit that. They fake out the Gliscor, okay. What does the Gallade do? Aqua Cutter. They double into the Gliscor, so I could have very much protected there. But... Sucker Punch is making this very complicated. I can't Last Respects. I cannot Last Respects. I think they have me dead to rights. Yeah, I can't go for the Last Respects. Go for the Wave Crash into Kangaskhan. And they probably see a Protect coming. I might have to make a play. And Psyshock? No, I don't know. Suckers the Vascular Legion. Okay. Shadow Sneaks into Delphox. I don't live. Darn. Yeah, good game. Okay. It's tough to say where exactly things went wrong. I think it's just... I mean, the first game, Tailwind, was kind of just a huge problem. Game 2 here... I mean... It was just the Gallade that's such a big issue. Oh yeah, this doesn't matter. I'm getting Shadow Sneaked. Yeah, I'm really just trying to think of what I could have done better there. But with the team I brought, like, I'm not super sure. Like, I think I played well against Kangaskhan first game, but yeah, like I said, Tailwind. Gallade under Tailwind was just an issue. Yeah, just whatever. Protect, I don't care. This KOs, right? No, it doesn't. Alright. And then this game 2 here, I mean, I thought it started out pretty well. Would have loved to have that Kangaskhan taken out when it was, instead of missing my triple axle into it. But yeah, I mean, I had Sucker Punch on, I had, what was the move? Substitute on the Delphox set at one point, and I should have kept that for sure. Because that would have allowed me to play around Kangaskhan a lot better. Yeah, Kangaskhan not going down was just an issue because it kept threatening the Sucker Punch on a Delphox. Delphox was forced out, so I couldn't really force any damage onto the Gallade before it took me out. So I guess that's kind of where it went. Oh well, though. It was a good game. GG's to Trav, my first loss of the season in the last week. Unfortunate. I was hoping that it would be an undefeated season, but can't have everything, and he played really well, so obviously can't be upset about it. But yeah, with all that said, I'm still locked for playoffs, I'm pretty sure, so I will see you guys then. Bye.